You've probably heard of the dark web, but have you ever wondered what kind of people make a fortune from it? One man, in particular, caught our attention. He's the one who made 23 million from the dark web, but lost it all in a single night. But before we dive into his story, let's understand the allure of the dark web and how some people make a fortune from it. The dark web is like a hidden city existing parallel to the internet we use every day. It's a place where people can buy and sell goods, services, and even information without being tracked. But what draws people to this mysterious world? For some, it's the promise of anonymity and the freedom to operate outside the law. Others are lured by the potential for huge profits, like our dark web millionaire. Let's take a closer look at what makes the dark web so appealing. Imagine being able to buy a rare piece of art or a limited edition collectible without anyone knowing about it. Or picture being able to access sensitive information that's normally off limits. The dark web offers all this and more, but at a price. You see, the dark web is a high-risk, high-reward environment. Those who play it cool can make a fortune, but those who get caught can lose everything. Now, let's talk about our dark web millionaire. His name is not important, but his story is. He was a young entrepreneur who saw the potential for making huge profits on the dark web. He started small, buying and selling goods on various marketplaces, but soon he moved on to more lucrative opportunities. He became a master of the dark web, using his skills to accumulate a fortune of 23 million. But, as the saying goes, pride comes before a fall. Our dark web millionaire got too big for his britches, and soon he found himself in a desperate situation. He had made a lot of enemies on the dark web, and they were coming for him. In a single night, he lost everything: his fortune, his reputation, and his freedom. The story of our dark web millionaire raises an important question. What exactly is the dark web, and how does it work? The dark web is a part of the internet that's not indexed by search engines like Google. It's a network of websites and online services that are accessible only through special software or tools. The dark web is often associated with illicit activities like drug trafficking and money laundering, but it's also used for legitimate purposes like secure communication and anonymous browsing. One of the most interesting aspects of the dark web is the concept of dark money. Dark money refers to funds that are hidden from the general public, often through complex financial transactions and shell companies. It's a way for individuals and organizations to avoid taxes, launder money, and finance illicit activities. But how does this work, and what makes it so appealing? Imagine you're a wealthy businessman who wants to donate to a political campaign without being seen. You could use a shell company to funnel the money, making it appear as if it's coming from a different source. Or picture a terrorist organization that wants to finance its activities without being detected. They could use dark money to purchase goods and services, all while avoiding detection. The dark web provides the perfect platform for dark money transactions. It's a place where anonymity is key, and transactions can be made without leaving a trail. But what are the consequences of using dark money, and how does it affect society as a whole? The use of dark money can lead to corruption, inequality, and even terrorism. It's a way for powerful individuals and organizations to manipulate the system and gain an unfair advantage. But it's also a symptom of a larger problem: the lack of transparency and accountability in our financial systems. So, what can we learn from the dark web and the concept of dark money? First, it's essential to understand the risks and rewards of operating in this environment. The dark web is a high-risk, high-reward environment, and those who play it cool can make a fortune, but those who get caught can lose everything. Second, we need to acknowledge the role of dark money in our financial systems. It's a way for individuals and organizations to avoid taxes, launder money, and finance illicit activities. But it's also a symptom of a larger problem: the lack of transparency and accountability in our financial systems. Finally, we need to take action to prevent the misuse of dark money. This means implementing stricter regulations, increasing transparency, and holding individuals and organizations accountable for their actions. In conclusion, The story of our dark web millionaire is a cautionary tale about the dangers of operating in the dark web. It's a place where anonymity is key and transactions can be made without leaving a trail, but it's also a high-risk environment where those who get caught can lose everything. As we've seen, the dark web is a complex and multifaceted environment that offers both opportunities and risks. It's a place where individuals and organizations can buy and sell goods, services, and information without being tracked, but it's also a platform for dark money transactions and illicit activities. So what's next for you? Will you be exploring the dark web and using it for legitimate purposes, or will you be avoiding it altogether? The choice is yours, but remember, the dark web is a high-risk, high-reward environment, and those who operate in it must be aware of the consequences. As we move forward, we'll be exploring more concepts and ideas related to the dark web and dark money. We'll be looking at the role of cryptocurrencies, the impact of social media, and the importance of financial literacy. So, stay tuned, and let's continue this conversation. In the meantime, we want to hear from you. What do you think about the dark web and dark money? Share your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Let's keep the conversation going and explore more ideas and concepts related to this fascinating topic. Before we go, let's summarize what we've learned so far. The dark web is a hidden city that exists parallel to the internet we use every day. It's a place where people can buy and sell goods, services, and information without being tracked. Our dark web millionaire made $23 million from the dark web, but lost it all in a single night. We've also discussed the concept of dark money, which refers to funds that are hidden from the general public. The dark web provides the perfect platform for dark money transactions, making it a high-risk, high-reward environment. But what are the consequences of using dark money, and how does it affect society as a whole? In the next section, we'll be exploring more concepts and ideas related to the dark web and dark money. We'll be looking at the role of cryptocurrencies, the impact of social media, and the importance of financial literacy. So, stay tuned, and let's continue this conversation. That's all for now. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. You're about to delve into the fascinating story of a dark web millionaire who made $23 million, only to lose it all in a single night. But before we get to the dramatic conclusion, let's take a step back and explore how this individual built his empire in the first place. Imagine being a hacker, always on the lookout for vulnerabilities in online systems. You stumble upon a weakness in a popular e-commerce platform, allowing you to bypass security measures and access sensitive information. This might seem like the stuff of movies, but it's a reality for many dark web operators. You see, the dark web millionaire didn't become wealthy by chance. He actively sought out opportunities to exploit online systems, often using social engineering tactics to trick people into revealing their login credentials or other sensitive information. He'd then use this information to gain access to high-value targets, such as credit card databases or sensitive corporate networks. But how did he get paid for this illicit work? Enter cryptocurrency, the digital currency that has revolutionized the way we think about money. For the dark web millionaire, cryptocurrency was the perfect payment method. It allowed him to receive payments anonymously, making it nearly impossible to track his transactions. Cryptocurrency has become a staple of the dark web, with many illicit marketplaces and exchange platforms operating on the darknet. These platforms have made it easier for users to buy and sell illicit goods and services, often using cryptocurrency as the primary form of payment. In fact, some estimates suggest that up to 90% of dark web transactions are facilitated by cryptocurrency. Now, you might be wondering how someone can lose $23 million in a single night. The answer lies in the concept of exit scams, a common tactic used by dark web operators to vanish with their accumulated wealth. An exit scam typically involves a group of individuals running a marketplace or exchange platform, accumulating wealth and assets, and then suddenly shutting down operations, leaving their victims with nothing. But here's the thing. Exit scams have become increasingly sophisticated, making it harder for victims to recover their losses. In some cases, The scammers will even go as far as to create fake websites or social media profiles to convince their victims that everything is okay and that they'll get their money back. It's a classic case of bait and switch, and it's left many people in the dark web community feeling betrayed and angry. As you can imagine, the dark web millionaire's exit scam was a masterclass in deception. He used a combination of social engineering tactics and clever coding to convince his victims that their money was safe. But behind the scenes, he was secretly transferring their funds to a series of offshore bank accounts, making it almost impossible to track the money. The consequences of the exit scam were devastating. Many people lost their life savings, while others were left with significant financial debt. The dark web millionaire, on the other hand, disappeared into thin air, leaving behind a trail of destruction and chaos. But here's the curious thing. The dark web millionaire's exit scam has become a cautionary tale for the dark web community. Many operators have spoken out about the dangers of exit scams, warning their fellow users to be cautious when dealing with new marketplaces or exchange platforms. It's a reminder that the dark web is a complex and ever-changing environment, where trust is a luxury that can't be taken for granted. As we move forward in this story, we'll explore the aftermath of the exit scam and the consequences it had for the individuals involved. We'll also delve into the world of cryptocurrency and the ways in which it's being used for both good and ill. But for now, let's take a moment to reflect on the dark web millionaire's rise and fall and the lessons that can be learned from his tragic story. You see, the dark web is a world of contradictions, where anonymity and security are often used to facilitate illicit activities. But it's also a world of innovation, where new technologies and business models are emerging all the time. As we navigate this complex environment, it's essential to remember that the dark web is a reflection of our own society, with all its flaws and contradictions. So, what can we learn from the dark web millionaire's story? For one, it highlights the importance of due diligence when dealing with new marketplaces or exchange platforms. It's essential to research the operators, their reputation, and their business practices before parting with any money. And if something seems too good to be true, it probably is. In the next section, we'll explore the aftermath of the exit scam and the consequences it had for the individuals involved. We'll also delve into the world of cryptocurrency and the ways in which it's being used for both good and ill. But for now, let's take a moment to reflect on the dark web millionaire's rise and fall and the lessons that can be learned from his tragic story. As we continue on this journey, remember that the dark web is a complex and ever-changing environment. It's essential to stay informed, stay vigilant, and always be on the lookout for new threats and opportunities. And if you're thinking of venturing into the dark web, be sure to do your research, take necessary precautions, and always prioritize your safety and security. Now, let's move forward and explore the consequences of the exit scam. What happened to the dark web millionaire's victims? How did they recover from their losses? And what did the exit scam say about the dark web community and its values? These are the questions we'll be exploring in the next section of this story. You probably heard of the dark web, but have you ever wondered what kind of people make a fortune from it? One man in particular caught our attention, making $23 million from the dark web before losing it all in a single night. But before we dive into the story of this dark web tycoon, let's take a closer look at the world of dark web marketplaces and the illicit activities that take place there. Imagine a place where anything can be bought and sold, no matter how illicit or taboo it is. That's the dark web, a vast network of encrypted websites and marketplaces hidden from the prying eyes of law enforcement and the general public. It's a place where hackers, thieves, and scammers come to peddle their wares, from stolen credit card numbers to counterfeit documents and even deadly chemicals. The dark web is a complex web of networks and servers, often hidden behind layers of encryption and proxy servers. It's a place where anonymity is king, and your identity can be kept secret even from the people you're doing business with. But with great power comes great risk, and the dark web is no exception. Engaging with dark web services can be a recipe for disaster, with risks ranging from identity theft to physical harm. One of the most notorious dark web marketplaces is the Silk Road, a platform that allowed users to buy and sell everything from heroin to guns. But the Silk Road was more than just a marketplace. It was a symbol of the dark web's power and potential. It showed that even in the darkest corners of the internet, there was a thriving community of entrepreneurs and traders who saw the dark web as a place to make a profit. But the Silk Road was also a cautionary tale, a reminder of the risks and consequences of engaging with the dark web. In 2013, the FBI shut down the Silk Road, arresting its founder Ross Ulbricht and confiscating millions of dollars in assets. The shutdown was a major blow to the dark web community, but it also marked a turning point in the fight against online crime. As we delve deeper into the world of the dark web, it's worth noting that not all of it is as sinister as it seems. There are legitimate uses for the dark web, from protecting whistleblowers to facilitating secure communication for activists and dissidents. But these uses are often overshadowed by the more illicit activities that take place on the dark web. So what's the difference between the dark web and the deep web? While the two terms are often used interchangeably, they're not exactly the same thing. The deep web refers to any part of the internet that's not indexed by search engines, including password-protected websites, private databases, and other areas that are not publicly accessible. The dark web, on the other hand, is a specific subset of the deep web, characterized by its use of encryption and anonymity. As we continue our journey into the world of the dark web, we'll explore the stories of people who have made a fortune from it, including the man who made $23 million before losing it all in a single night. We'll examine the risks and consequences of engaging with dark web services, and we'll look at the latest trends and innovations in the world of online crime. But for now, let's take a step back and ask ourselves a question. What drives people to engage with the dark web in the first place? Is it a desire for anonymity or a need for illicit goods and services? Whatever the reason, the dark web remains a fascinating and often frightening place, full of opportunities and risks that are waiting to be explored. As we move forward, remember that the dark web is a complex and ever-changing landscape, full of twists and turns that can be difficult to navigate. But with the right guidance and expertise, it's possible to explore the dark web safely and effectively. So if you're ready to take the plunge and delve deeper into the world of online crime, join us as we continue our journey into the dark web. But before we go any further, let's take a moment to ask ourselves a question. What do you think is the most pressing issue facing the dark web today? Is it the risk of law enforcement crackdowns, or the rise of new and innovative technologies that could change the game forever? Whatever your answer, we invite you to share your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. As we move forward, we'll be exploring the latest trends and innovations in the world of online crime, including the rise of cryptocurrency and the increasing use of artificial intelligence. We'll also be looking at the human side of the dark web, including the stories of people who have made a fortune from it and those who have lost everything in the process. But for now, let's take a step back and summarize what we've learned so far. We've explored the world of dark web marketplaces and the illicit activities that take place there. We've discussed the risks and consequences of engaging with dark web services, and we've looked at the difference between the dark web and the deep web. And we've asked ourselves a question: what drives people to engage with the dark web in the first place? As we continue our journey into the world of online crime, remember that the dark web is a complex and ever-changing landscape, full of opportunities and risks that are waiting to be explored. But with the right guidance and expertise, it's possible to navigate the dark web safely and effectively. So, if you're ready to take the plunge and delve deeper into the world of online crime, join us as we continue our journey into the dark web. You've probably wondered what's behind the allure of the dark web, a mysterious realm where anonymity reigns supreme. As we continue to explore the story of the dark web tycoon who made $23 million, only to lose it all in a single night, let's examine why people are drawn to this promise of secrecy. You might be surprised at the psychological factors at play. Imagine being able to browse the internet without leaving a digital footprint. No more worries about being tracked. No more concerns about your online activities being monitored. The dark web offers this freedom, a utopia for those seeking anonymity. But why are people so drawn to this idea? One reason is the fear of judgment. In today's digital age, it's easy to feel like every move is being watched, every click being tracked. The dark web promises a way out, a chance to escape the constant scrutiny of social media and online surveillance. You might think, if I can just remain anonymous, I'll be free to make my own choices without fear of reprisal. It's a seductive idea, one that resonates with many. Another factor is the desire for control. When you're anonymous, you feel like you're in charge. You can do as you please without worrying about the consequences of your actions. It's a liberating feeling, one that can be intoxicating. You might think, if I'm not visible, I can be whoever I want to be. But this sense of control is an illusion, one that can lead to trouble. Now let's talk about catfishing, a phenomenon that's closely tied to the dark web. For those who might not know, catfishing is the act of creating a false online identity, often with the intention of deceiving or manipulating others. This can be done for a variety of reasons, from seeking attention to financial gain. The dark web provides a perfect breeding ground for catfishing, where anonymity allows individuals to hide behind false identities. You might be wondering, what's the difference between catfishing and just being anonymous? While anonymity is about hiding your identity, catfishing is about creating a false one. It's a subtle distinction, but an important one. When you catfish, you're not just hiding your identity, you're actively deceiving others. And that's where things can get complicated. As we delve deeper into the world of the dark web, you'll see how catfishing can lead to some very dark consequences. But for now, let's focus on the allure of anonymity. Why do people crave this secrecy? What drives them to seek out the dark web? These are questions we'll continue to explore as we unravel the story of the dark web tycoon who made $23 million, only to lose it all in a single night. But here's what most people don't know. The dark web is not just a haven for catfishers and schemers. It's also a place where people seek refuge, where they can escape the pressures of everyday life. You might think, but isn't the dark web just a lawless frontier where anything goes? And to some extent, that's true. But for others, it's a lifeline, a way to connect with others who share their interests and values. As you continue to follow our story, you'll see how the dark web can be both a source of freedom and a breeding ground for chaos. It's a complex world, one that's full of contradictions and paradoxes. But that's what makes it so fascinating. So, stay tuned as we explore the next chapter in the story of the dark web tycoon who made $23 million, only to lose it all in a single night. You've probably wondered what it's like to be a part of the dark web community. What's it like to navigate this uncharted territory where the rules of the surface web don't apply? You might be surprised at the sense of camaraderie that exists within this community. People come together to share ideas, to collaborate on projects, and to support one another. It's a strange kind of solidarity, one that's born out of a shared desire for anonymity. But as we've seen, this solidarity can be a double-edged sword. When you're part of a community that values anonymity, it can be difficult to separate reality from fantasy. You might find yourself wondering, what's real and what's just a projection of my own desires? It's a question that's at the heart of the dark web, where the lines between truth and fiction are constantly blurred. Now, let's talk about the dangers of the dark web. You might think, isn't the dark web just a haven for hackers and cybercriminals? And to some extent, that's true. But the reality is more complex. The dark web is also a place where people seek help, where they can find resources and support for issues like addiction and mental health. You might be wondering, how can a place like the dark web be both a source of freedom and a breeding ground for chaos? It's a question that gets to the heart of human nature, where the desire for autonomy and self-expression can sometimes lead to destructive behavior. But it's also a reminder that the dark web is not just a place, it's a state of mind. And that's what makes it so fascinating. As we continue to explore the story of the dark web tycoon who made $23 million, only to lose it all in a single night, you'll see how the allure of anonymity can lead to some very surprising consequences. But for now, let's focus on the psychological factors that drive people to seek out the dark web. What are the underlying motivations that lead individuals to crave this secrecy? These are questions we'll continue to explore as we delve deeper into the world of the dark web. You might be thinking, but what about the risks of the dark web? Isn't it just a place where people get hurt? And to some extent, that's true. But the reality is more nuanced. The dark web is also a place where people take risks, where they push the boundaries of what's possible. And that's what makes it so alluring. As you continue to follow our story, you'll see how the dark web can be both a source of freedom and a breeding ground for chaos. It's a complex world, one that's full of contradictions and paradoxes. But that's what makes it so fascinating. So, stay tuned as we explore the next chapter in the story of the dark web tycoon who made $23 million, only to lose it all in a single night. But here's what most people don't know. The dark web is not just a place for catfishers and schemers. It's also a place where people seek refuge, where they can escape the pressures of everyday life. You might think, but isn't the dark web just a lawless frontier where anything goes? And to some extent, that's true. But for others, it's a lifeline, a way to connect with others who share their interests and values. As we continue to explore the world of the dark web, you'll see how the allure of anonymity can lead to some very surprising consequences. But for now, let's focus on the psychological factors that drive people to seek out the dark web. What are the underlying motivations that lead individuals to crave this secrecy? These are questions we'll continue to explore as we delve deeper into the world of the dark web. And finally, you might be wondering, what's the future of the dark web? Will it continue to be a place of freedom and creativity, or will it become a breeding ground for chaos and destruction? These are questions we'll continue to explore as we conclude our story of the dark web tycoon who made $23 million, only to lose it all in a single night. But for now, let's take a step back and reflect on what we've learned. The dark web is a complex world, full of contradictions and paradoxes. But it's also a place where people seek refuge, where they can escape the pressures of everyday life. And that's what makes it so fascinating. So, stay tuned as we continue to explore the next chapter in the story of the dark web tycoon who made $23 million, only to lose it all in a single night. You're about to learn the shocking story of how one man made $23 million from the dark web, only to lose it all in a single night. We've been exploring the world of the dark web, and now it's time to reveal the dark side of its success. Get ready for a wild ride. Imagine being a master of the dark web, making millions from the shadows. That's exactly what our story's protagonist did. His name is irrelevant, but his story is one for the ages. He built an empire, making $23 million in the process. But, as we all know, nothing lasts forever. His downfall was swift, and it happened in the blink of an eye. It started with a clever hack. Our dark web tycoon had discovered a vulnerability in a popular online marketplace. He exploited it, stealing millions of dollars in cryptocurrency. But he didn't stop there. He started selling exclusive access to the dark web, attracting high-profile buyers. His empire grew, and so did his bank account. However, law enforcement agencies were closing in. They had been tracking his activities for months, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. That moment came on a fateful night, when our dark web millionaire decided to transfer his entire fortune to a single account. Little did he know, his account was about to be frozen. Operation Tor, a joint effort between law enforcement agencies, had been monitoring the dark web for months. They had identified our protagonist as a key player and were waiting for the right moment to take him down. As our dark web millionaire transferred his fortune, Operation Tor sprang into action. Within minutes, his accounts were frozen, and his cryptocurrency was seized. The operation was a masterclass in coordination, with law enforcement agencies working together to bring down the dark web empire. It was a turning point in the fight against the dark web, and our protagonist was left with nothing. But here's the thing. Our dark web millionaire's story isn't unique. There are countless others out there, making millions from the dark web. And, as we've seen, it's not just the individuals who are at risk. The entire ecosystem of the dark web is fragile, and one wrong move can bring it crashing down. You might be wondering what led to this downfall. Was it the law enforcement agencies, or was it something more? The answer lies in the nature of the dark web itself. As we've explored earlier, the dark web is a realm of anonymity, where users can hide behind masks and avatars. But this very anonymity is what makes it so vulnerable. As our dark web millionaire found out, the dark web is a house of cards. One wrong move, and the entire structure comes crashing down. And in this case, it was his own greed that led to his downfall. He underestimated the power of law enforcement and the fragility of the dark web. But here's the thing, our story isn't over yet. The impact of Operation Tort goes far beyond the individual who lost his fortune. It's a wake-up call for all those involved in the dark web, a reminder that the law is catching up. And it's a testament to the power of collaboration between law enforcement agencies. So, what can we learn from this story? Firstly, the dark web is a high-risk, high-reward environment. While some make millions, others lose everything. Secondly, the law is catching up, and those involved in the dark web would do well to take note. And finally, the dark web is a fragile ecosystem, vulnerable to the slightest disturbance. As we continue to explore the world of the dark web, remember that it's a complex and ever-changing landscape. There are no clear winners or losers, only those who adapt and those who don't. And as we've seen, even the most successful players can fall victim to their own hubris. So what do you think? Have you ever wondered what lies behind the allure of the dark web? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're interested in learning more about the dark web, be sure to check out our next video, where we'll be exploring the latest developments in this ever-changing world. As we conclude this section, remember that the dark web is a realm of mystery and intrigue. While some make millions, others lose everything. And as we've seen, even the most successful players can fall victim to their own hubris. The story of our dark web millionaire is a cautionary tale, a reminder of the risks and rewards of this high-stakes world. But here's the thing, the dark web is not just a story of individual success and failure. It's a complex ecosystem influenced by a multitude of factors. And as we continue to explore this world, we'll be delving into the latest developments, from the rise of cryptocurrency to the growing threat of cybercrime. So, stay tuned for more on the dark web, and remember to subscribe for the latest updates. And if you have any questions or comments, be sure to share them in the comments below. We'll be back with more on the dark web, and we can't wait to share it with you. You're about to learn a crucial part of the story behind the dark web tycoon who made $23 million, only to lose it all in a single night. As we continue to unravel the mysteries of the dark web, we're going to explore the psychological factors that drive individuals to take massive risks in the most anonymous parts of the internet. You see, the dark web is a realm where anything seems possible, and the allure of anonymity can be intoxicating. But what's really going on in the minds of those who engage in high-stakes transactions on the dark web? What psychological factors contribute to risk-taking behavior in this shadowy world? One key concept is loss aversion, the idea that the fear of losing something is often more powerful than the potential gain. Imagine you're on the dark web, and you're presented with a lucrative opportunity to buy a rare digital asset. The catch is, if you don't act quickly, someone else might snatch it up. In this moment, your fear of missing out, FOMO, kicks in, and you're willing to take a massive risk to avoid losing the opportunity. But here's what most people don't know. FOMO is not just about missing out on a specific opportunity. It's also about the fear of regret. When you're on the dark web, the pressure to act quickly can be overwhelming. You might think to yourself, if I don't buy this digital asset now, I'll regret it forever. This fear of regret can lead to impulsive decisions, and before you know it, you've committed to a high-stakes transaction. Now, you might be thinking, but what about the excitement of making a quick profit? That's a great point. But the reality is, making a profit on the dark web is not just about luck. It's also about understanding the risks involved. When you're in a high-pressure situation, It's easy to get caught up in the thrill of the moment and forget about the potential consequences. Let's take a step back and look at this from a more rational perspective. Imagine you're presented with a 50-50 chance of making a profit or losing a significant amount of money. Most people would say, no way, I'll stick to a sure thing. But on the dark web, the stakes are much higher, and the odds are often stacked against you. So, what do we learn from this? The psychology of risk-taking on the dark web is complex, and it's not just about making impulsive decisions or getting caught up in the thrill of the moment. It's also about understanding the psychological factors that drive behavior, including loss aversion, FOMO, and the fear of regret. You might be wondering, but what about the dark web tycoon who made $23 million and lost it all in a single night? What was going through his mind? That's a great question, but the reality is we can't know for certain. However, what we do know is that he was likely driven by a combination of factors, including loss aversion, FOMO, and the fear of regret. As we continue to explore the story of the dark web tycoon, we're going to examine the concept of fear of loss and how it relates to high-stakes transactions on the dark web. But for now, let's take a step back and reflect on what we've learned so far. We've seen how the allure of anonymity can be intoxicating, and we've explored the psychological factors that drive risk-taking behavior on the dark web. But here's the thing. The dark web is not just a place of mystery and intrigue. It's also a place of danger and uncertainty. As we move forward in this story, we're going to encounter even more twists and turns, and we'll have to navigate the complex web of psychological factors that drive behavior on the dark web. So, what do you think is the most significant psychological factor driving risk-taking behavior on the dark web? Is it loss aversion, FOMO, or something else entirely? Let us know in the comments below, and we'll continue the conversation in the next section. As we move forward, we're going to explore the concept of fear of loss and how it relates to high-stakes transactions on the dark web. But for now, let's take a moment to reflect on what we've learned so far. We've seen how the dark web is a realm where anything seems possible, and we've explored the psychological factors that drive risk-taking behavior in this shadowy world. But here's the thing. The dark web is not just a place of mystery and intrigue. It's also a place of danger and uncertainty. As we move forward in this story, we're going to encounter even more twists and turns, and we'll have to navigate the complex web of psychological factors that drive behavior on the dark web. In the next section, we'll delve into the concept of fear of loss and how it relates to high-stakes transactions on the dark web. But for now, let's take a moment to reflect on what we've learned so far. We've seen how the dark web is a realm where anything seems possible, and we've explored the psychological factors that drive risk-taking behavior in this shadowy world. The psychology of risk-taking on the dark web is complex, and it's not just about making impulsive decisions or getting caught up in the thrill of the moment. It's also about understanding the psychological factors that drive behavior, including loss aversion, FOMO, and the fear of regret. As we move forward in this story, we're going to encounter even more twists and turns, and we'll have to navigate the complex web of psychological factors that drive behavior on the dark web. But for now, let's take a moment to reflect on what we've learned so far. We've seen how the dark web is a realm where anything seems possible, and we've explored the psychological factors that drive risk-taking behavior in this shadowy world. So, what do you think is the most significant psychological factor driving risk-taking behavior on the dark web? Is it loss aversion, FOMO, or something else entirely? Let us know in the comments below, and we'll continue the conversation in the next section. The dark web is a place of mystery and intrigue, and it's also a place of danger and uncertainty. As we move forward in this story, we're going to encounter even more twists and turns, and we'll have to navigate the complex web of psychological factors that drive behavior on the dark web. But for now, let's take a moment to reflect on what we've learned so far. We've seen how the dark web is a realm where anything seems possible, and we've explored the psychological factors that drive risk-taking behavior in this shadowy world. The psychology of risk-taking on the dark web is complex, and it's not just about making impulsive decisions or getting caught up in the thrill of the moment. It's also about understanding the psychological factors that drive behavior, including loss aversion, FOMO, and the fear of regret. As we move forward in this story, we're going to encounter even more twists and turns, and we'll have to navigate the complex web of psychological factors that drive behavior on the dark web. But for now, let's take a moment to reflect on what we've learned so far. We've seen how the dark web is a realm where anything seems possible, and we've explored the psychological factors that drive risk-taking behavior in this shadowy world. As you continue to learn about the dark web, you're probably wondering how it operates behind the scenes. How does it manage to thrive despite being a clandestine network? The answer lies in its unique economics, which we'll explore in this section. So, let's dive in and discover the fascinating world of the dark web's parallel economy. Imagine a place where money has no borders, where transactions are encrypted, and where the rules of traditional finance don't apply. This is the dark web's economy, a realm where the concept of money is redefined. You see, the dark web operates as a parallel economy, existing alongside the legitimate financial system, but with its own set of rules and players. It's like a shadow world, invisible to the naked eye, but with its own pulse and rhythm. Now, you might be thinking, but how does it work? Well, the dark web's economy relies heavily on cryptocurrency, particularly Bitcoin. You see, Bitcoin's decentralized nature and lack of regulation make it the perfect currency for the dark web. It's a digital cash that can be transferred anonymously without the need for intermediaries like banks. This has made Bitcoin a staple of the dark web, where users can buy and sell goods and services with ease. But here's the thing. The dark web's economy isn't just about Bitcoin. It's a complex ecosystem that involves multiple players, from the marketplaces where goods are sold to the facilitators who help users navigate the system. It's a world of middlemen and middlewomen who make a living by connecting buyers and sellers. And at the heart of it all is the concept of shadow banking. Shadow banking is a term that might sound familiar, but in the context of the dark web, it takes on a whole new meaning. Essentially, shadow banking refers to the practice of providing financial services outside of the traditional banking system. On the dark web, shadow banking means providing access to credit, financing, and other financial services to users who might not be able to access them through traditional channels. It's a way for the dark web to create its own financial infrastructure, separate from the legitimate system. Now, you might be wondering how this all works in practice. Let's take a look at an example. Imagine a user wants to buy a rare piece of malware on the dark web. They might use a marketplace like Silk Road to find the seller, and then use a payment service like BitPay to transfer the Bitcoin. But what about the seller? How do they get paid? That's where the shadow banking comes in. The seller might use a service like a prepaid debit card, which is essentially a digital credit card that can be loaded with Bitcoin. This way, the seller can access their funds without revealing their identity. As you can see, the dark web's economy is a complex web of players, services, and technologies. It's a place where the rules of finance are rewritten and where the traditional concepts of money and banking are turned on their head. But here's the thing. This world isn't just about the dark web. It's a reflection of our own society, where the lines between legitimate and illegitimate finance are increasingly blurred. You see, the dark web's economy is a manifestation of the global financial system's own flaws. It's a system that's built on debt, speculation, and inequality. And when people are priced out of the legitimate financial system, they turn to alternative solutions like the dark web. It's a vicious cycle, where the wealthy get wealthier and the poor are left behind. As we continue to explore the world of the dark web, you'll see that this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more to learn, from the psychological factors that drive individuals to participate in the dark web to the real-world consequences of its existence. But for now, let's take a step back and appreciate the complexity of the dark web's economy. It's a world that's both fascinating and terrifying, a place where the rules of finance are rewritten and the very notion of money is redefined. But before we move on, let's ask ourselves a question. What can we learn from the dark web's economy? Can we apply these principles to our own lives, or are they better left in shadows? The answer, as always, is complex. But one thing is certain. The dark web's economy is a reflection of our own society's flaws. And by exploring it, we might just gain a deeper understanding of the world we live in. As we move forward, keep in mind that the dark web is a constantly evolving entity. New players are emerging, and new technologies are being developed. The economy is adapting, and the rules are changing. It's a world that's both dynamic and unpredictable, where the only constant is change. And that's where we'll leave it for now. But don't worry, we'll be back to explore more of the dark web's mysteries. In the next section, we'll delve into the psychology of risk-taking and explore why individuals are drawn to the dark web's promise of anonymity and financial freedom. But for now, let's simply appreciate the complexity of the dark web's economy and the lessons it can teach us about the world we live in. You've probably heard the story of the dark web tycoon who made $23 million, only to lose it all in a single night. But have you ever wondered what role technology played in his rise and fall? As we continue to explore the mysteries of the dark web, let's dive into the fascinating world of technology that makes it all possible. As we discussed earlier, the dark web is a clandestine network that exists outside the traditional internet. But what makes it so unique is the technology that enables it to thrive. At its core, the dark web relies on a complex system of encryption and anonymity tools that protect users' identities and transactions. Imagine you're browsing the internet, but instead of seeing the usual websites and search results, you're navigating through a maze of encrypted tunnels and hidden servers. That's essentially what happens on the dark web. Users employ encryption tools like Tor and VPNs to mask their IP addresses and encrypt their data. This creates a secure and anonymous environment that's perfect for illicit activities. But how does it work? Let's take a closer look at the technology behind the dark web. One of the key concepts is called onion routing. Onion routing is a technique that uses layers of encryption to protect user data. Imagine you're sending a letter to a friend, but instead of using a traditional postal service, you're using a series of anonymous couriers to deliver it. Each courier only knows the identity of the person who gave them the letter, not the ultimate recipient. Onion routing works in a similar way. When you send data over the dark web, it's encrypted and broken down into small packets. Each packet is then routed through a series of anonymous servers, each of which only knows the identity of the previous server. This creates a secure and anonymous channel for data to flow, making it virtually impossible to track. But onion routing is just one part of the technology that makes the dark web tick. The dark web also relies on a range of other tools and techniques, including cryptocurrency and digital wallets. These tools enable users to conduct transactions anonymously and securely, without the need for traditional payment systems. For example, let's say you're using a digital wallet to purchase an illicit good or service on the dark web. The transaction is encrypted and routed through onion servers, making it virtually impossible to track. The cryptocurrency is then transferred to the seller's digital wallet, without revealing the identity of either party. As we've seen, the technology behind the dark web is complex and sophisticated, but it's also fragile and vulnerable to disruption. In our next section, we'll explore the economics of the dark web and how the rise and fall of the dark web tycoon was ultimately driven by a combination of technology and economics. But before we move on, let's take a step back and appreciate the significance of the dark web's technology. It's a testament to human ingenuity and the power of innovation. The dark web's technology has enabled a new generation of entrepreneurs and traders to thrive in a world that was previously inaccessible. But it's also a reminder that technology is a double-edged sword. While it can create new opportunities and possibilities, it can also be used for nefarious purposes. As we continue to explore the mysteries of the dark web, let's keep in mind the risks and rewards that come with this technology. So what do you think? How does the technology behind the dark web affect your perception of this clandestine network? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's keep the conversation going. As we move forward, we'll be exploring the economics of the dark web and how it operates behind the scenes. But for now, let's take a moment to appreciate the fascinating world of technology that makes the dark web tick. It's a world that's both captivating and unsettling, and it's a reminder that the internet is a complex and multifaceted place. In the next section, we'll be discussing the economics of the dark web and how it operates behind the scenes. But for now, let's take a moment to reflect on the significance of the dark web's technology. It's a testament to human ingenuity and the power of innovation, but it's also a reminder of the risks and rewards that come with this technology. As we continue to explore the mysteries of the dark web, let's keep in mind the importance of technology in facilitating these illicit activities. It's a complex and multifaceted world, and it's a reminder that the internet is a place of both wonder and danger. You've probably heard the story of the dark web tycoon who made 23 million, only to lose it all in a single night. But have you ever wondered what role technology played in his rise and fall? As we continue to explore the mysteries of the dark web, let's keep the conversation going and see where it takes us. You've probably heard the story of the dark web tycoon who made 23 million, only to lose it all in a single night. But have you ever stopped to think about the risks that come with engaging with this clandestine network? As you continue to learn about the dark web, it's essential to understand the potential dangers that lurk beneath its surface. Let's start with the most obvious risk: identity theft. On the dark web, personal data is a valuable commodity, and scammers will stop at nothing to get their hands on it. By simply accessing the dark web, you're putting yourself at risk of having your identity stolen, your credit cards compromised, or your sensitive information sold to the highest bidder. It's a chilling thought, but one that's all too real. But identity theft is just the tip of the iceberg. Engaging with the dark web can also lead to financial loss on a massive scale. We've already talked about the unique economics of the dark web, but what we haven't discussed is the role of reputation systems in facilitating these transactions. Reputation systems are like online reviews, but instead of rating a restaurant or a hotel, they're used to rate the reliability and trustworthiness of individuals on the dark web. These reputation systems are often used to ensure that transactions go smoothly, but they can also be used to manipulate and deceive. Imagine buying a product from a vendor on the dark web, only to discover that it's a scam. If the vendor has a good reputation, you might be more likely to trust them, even if they're not who they claim to be. It's a catch-22 situation that can leave you vulnerable to financial loss. One of the most insidious tactics used on the dark web is the exit scam. An exit scam occurs when a vendor or a market operator suddenly disappears with all the funds they've collected from customers. It's like a Ponzi scheme, but instead of investing in a fake company, you're investing in a fake marketplace. And when the vendor vanishes, you're left with nothing. The story of the dark web tycoon who lost 23 million in a single night is a perfect example of an exit scam gone wrong. This individual had built a reputation as a reliable and trustworthy vendor on the dark web, but when the time came to cash out, they disappeared with all the funds. It's a devastating story that highlights the risks of engaging with the dark web. So, what can you do to protect yourself from these risks? First and foremost, it's essential to understand that the dark web is a high-risk environment. If you do choose to engage with it, make sure you're doing so with caution and a clear understanding of the potential consequences. Don't invest more than you can afford to lose, and always be on the lookout for scams and exit scams. Second, it's crucial to develop a healthy dose of skepticism when interacting with vendors or market operators on the dark web. Don't trust anyone without doing your research, and never invest in a product or service without seeing evidence of its legitimacy. Use reputation systems to your advantage, but don't rely solely on them. Finally, remember that the dark web is a constantly evolving environment. New scams and exit scams are emerging all the time, and it's essential to stay one step ahead of the game. By being informed and vigilant, you can minimize your risk of financial loss and identity theft on the dark web. As you continue to explore the mysteries of the dark web, remember that the risks are real and the consequences can be devastating. But by being cautious, skeptical, and informed, you can protect yourself from the dangers that lurk beneath its surface. So what do you think? Have you ever encountered a scam or an exit scam on the dark web? Share your story in the comments below, and let's continue the conversation. In the next section, we'll delve deeper into the world of cryptocurrency and how it's used on the dark web. We'll explore the concept of cryptocurrency exchanges and how they facilitate transactions between buyers and sellers. But for now, let's take a moment to reflect on the risks we've discussed today. What do you think is the biggest risk facing individuals who engage with the dark web? Is it identity theft, financial loss, or something else entirely? Share your thoughts, and let's keep the conversation going. You've been following along with our journey into the mysterious world of the dark web, and you've probably heard the story of the dark web tycoon who made $23 million, only to lose it all in a single night. But as you continue to explore this clandestine network, you're probably wondering, what happens when law enforcement catches wind of these illicit operations? Well, let me tell you, the efforts of law enforcement to shut down dark web operations are nothing short of impressive. From the moment investigators stumble upon a suspected dark web marketplace or cryptocurrency exchange, they spring into action. Their goal? To take down the entire operation and bring those responsible to justice. One notable example of this is Operation Tor, a joint effort between international law enforcement agencies to dismantle the notorious Silk Road marketplace. Launched in 2013, Operation Tor was a coordinated effort to disrupt the Silk Road's activities and ultimately shut down the site. And shut it down they did in a spectacular fashion. The Silk Road's founder, Ross Ulbricht, was arrested in 2013 and sentenced to life in prison in 2015. But Operation Tor wasn't just about taking down one marketplace. It was about sending a message to the dark web community as a whole. Law enforcement agencies used a range of tactics to disrupt the Silk Road's activities, from freezing bank accounts to compromising the site's encryption. And it worked. The Silk Road was forced to go dark, and the dark web community was left reeling. Now, you might be wondering, what about the collateral damage? You see, when law enforcement agencies take down dark web operations, they often inadvertently harm innocent parties. This can include cryptocurrency holders who had invested in the site or merchants who had unknowingly listed their wares on the site. It's a difficult reality to face, but one that law enforcement agencies must grapple with. One example of this collateral damage is the story of Charlie Shrem, a cryptocurrency entrepreneur who was arrested in 2014 for his alleged involvement in the Silk Road. Shrem had invested heavily in the site, and when it was shut down, he lost everything. He was forced to sell his assets and declare bankruptcy, all because of his association with the Silk Road. But here's the thing, collateral damage is not unique to the dark web. Law enforcement agencies have been dealing with this issue for years, and it's a problem that requires careful consideration. After all, the ultimate goal of law enforcement is not just to take down illicit operations. It's to protect the public and ensure justice is served. So, what can you take away from this? First, the efforts of law enforcement to shut down dark web operations are a complex and delicate process. They require coordination, resources, and a deep understanding of the dark web community. Second, collateral damage is a very real concern, one that law enforcement agencies must carefully consider when taking down illicit operations. And finally, the story of Charlie Shrem serves as a cautionary tale about the risks of getting involved with the dark web. As we continue to explore this mysterious world, remember that the consequences of getting caught can be severe. So what do you think? Have you ever considered investing in cryptocurrency or using the dark web? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Now, let's move on to the next section. We'll be exploring the role of cryptocurrency in the dark web and how it's used to facilitate illicit transactions. But before we do, let's take a moment to reflect on what we've learned so far. From the rise of the dark web to the efforts of law enforcement, we've covered a lot of ground. And as we continue to explore this complex and mysterious world, remember that the truth is often stranger than fiction. Pause for 5 seconds. In our next section, we'll be diving into the world of cryptocurrency and how it's used to facilitate illicit transactions. But before we do, take a moment to think about the risks of getting involved with the dark web. What are the consequences of getting caught? And how can you protect yourself? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's continue this conversation in the next section. You've been following along with our journey into the mysterious world of the dark web, and you've probably heard the story of the dark web tycoon who made 23 million, only to lose it all in a single night. But as you continue to explore this clandestine network, you're probably wondering what the future holds for the dark web. It's no secret that law enforcement agencies have been cracking down on the dark web in recent years. With increased resources and more sophisticated tactics, it's becoming increasingly difficult for individuals and organizations to operate undetected. But here's the thing, the dark web is not going away anytime soon. In fact, it's likely to evolve and adapt in response to these efforts, becoming even more sophisticated and elusive. One way the dark web may evolve is through the use of advanced technologies like blockchain and artificial intelligence. These technologies can help create decentralized networks that are resistant to censorship and disruption. Imagine a dark web where transactions are recorded on a public ledger, making it impossible for anyone to manipulate or delete data. This is the future of the dark web, and it's already starting to take shape. But what does this mean for you, the viewer? If you're interested in exploring the dark web, you'll need to be prepared for a future where technology is playing an increasingly important role. This means staying up to date with the latest developments in blockchain and AI, and learning how to use these technologies to your advantage. Now, you may be thinking, what about the risks associated with the dark web? Won't all this technology just make it easier for bad actors to operate? The truth is, the dark web is a complex and multifaceted system, and it's impossible to predict exactly how it will evolve. But one thing is certain. The future of the dark web will be shaped by the technologies that we use to interact with it. So, what can you do to prepare for this future? One key concept to understand is decentralized finance, or DeFi. DeFi is a system of financial transactions that operates without the need for intermediaries like banks and financial institutions. Instead, DeFi relies on blockchain technology to facilitate transactions and manage assets. The beauty of DeFi is that it's not just limited to the dark web. In fact, DeFi is already being used in mainstream finance to create new and innovative ways of doing business. But the dark web is where DeFi really comes alive, offering a range of benefits that traditional finance can't match. For example, DeFi allows for instant and secure transactions, without the need for intermediaries or third-party verification. This makes it an attractive option for individuals and organizations looking to do business on the dark web. But DeFi also offers a range of other benefits, including improved transparency and auditability. So, what does this mean for you, the viewer? If you're interested in exploring the dark web, you'll need to understand how DeFi works and how it can be used to your advantage. This means learning about the different types of DeFi protocols and how they can be used to facilitate transactions and manage assets. But DeFi is not just about technology, it's also about community and collaboration. The dark web is a complex and multifaceted system, and it's impossible to navigate without the help of others. This is where community and collaboration come in, allowing individuals and organizations to work together to achieve their goals. As you continue to explore the dark web, you'll encounter a range of different communities and networks. Some of these will be focused on specific topics or industries, while others will be more general in nature. But all of them will offer a unique perspective on the dark web and its many complexities. So, what can you do to get involved in these communities? One key tip is to start by learning about the different types of communities and networks that exist on the dark web. This will give you a better understanding of what's out there and how you can get involved. But it's not just about learning, it's also about participating. Once you've learned about the different communities and networks, it's time to start engaging with them. This means sharing your expertise and experiences and learning from others in return. By doing so, you'll not only gain a deeper understanding of the dark web, you'll also become a more effective and confident operator. And that's the key to success on the dark web, being able to navigate its complexities and challenges with ease. So what's the next step? For you, the viewer, it's time to start exploring the dark web and its many communities. This means learning about the different types of DeFi protocols and how they can be used to facilitate transactions and manage assets. It also means getting involved in the communities and networks that exist on the dark web. This will give you a better understanding of what's out there and how you can get involved. And it will also give you the opportunity to learn from others and share your own expertise and experiences. As you continue to explore the dark web, remember that it's a complex and multifaceted system. It's not just about technology, it's also about community and collaboration. By understanding these complexities and getting involved in the communities and networks that exist on the dark web, you'll be well on your way to becoming a confident and effective operator. And that's the future of you've been following along with our journey into the mysterious world of the dark web. And you've probably heard the story of the dark web tycoon who made 23 million, only to lose it all in a single night. But as you continue to explore this clandestine network, you're probably wondering what lessons we can learn from this cautionary tale. Let's start by looking at the broader economy. The story of the dark web tycoon serves as a stark reminder of the risks and rewards of the digital age. In just one night, a single individual went from being a millionaire to being broke. This is a stark reminder that even in the world of finance, fortunes can change in an instant. And it's not just the dark web that we need to be concerned about. This is a lesson that applies to the global economy as a whole. Consider the concept of systemic risk. This refers to the idea that a small event or failure in one part of a complex system can have far-reaching and devastating consequences for the entire system. Think of it like a game of dominoes. If one domino falls, it can trigger a chain reaction that brings down the entire line. The dark web tycoon story is a perfect example of this concept in action. His downfall was not just a personal failure, but a systemic one that had far-reaching consequences for the entire dark web ecosystem. But what exactly causes systemic risk? In many cases, it's the result of regulatory capture. This is when powerful players in an industry, often large corporations or wealthy individuals, use their influence to shape government policy and regulations to their advantage. The result is a system that is rigged in their favor, and one that can lead to catastrophic consequences when it fails. Think back to the 2008 financial crisis. It was largely caused by regulatory capture and the failure of government agencies to regulate the financial industry effectively. So what can we learn from the dark web tycoon story? First and foremost, it's a reminder that even in the digital age, fortunes can change in an instant. It's also a warning about the dangers of regulatory capture and the importance of effective government oversight. And finally, it's a reminder that systemic risk is a real and present danger in today's complex economy. But here's the thing. The dark web tycoon story is not just a cautionary tale. It's also a reminder that there are those who are working to address these issues and create a more just and equitable system. From whistleblowers who expose corporate wrongdoing to activists who push for greater government transparency, there are many people who are fighting to create a better world. And as we continue to explore the mysterious world of the dark web, we'll be looking at the ways in which these individuals are working to create change. So what do you think? Have you ever heard of systemic risk or regulatory capture? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. And if you're interested in learning more about the dark web and the people who are working to create change, be sure to check out our next video in this series. But before we go, I want to leave you with a question. What would happen if we lived in a world where regulatory capture was a thing of the past? A world where government agencies were truly independent and effective? A world where corporate influence was minimal and the interests of the people were put first? It's a tantalizing prospect, isn't it? And one that we'll be exploring in more depth in our next video. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one. You're probably wondering how the dark web impacts society, and whether it's just a bunch of cyber villains lurking in the shadows. As we continue to explore this mysterious world, it's essential to understand the effects of the dark web on crime, the economy, and our social norms. The dark web has become a breeding ground for illicit activities, from money laundering to human trafficking. You see, the anonymity of the dark web makes it an attractive platform for those who want to operate outside the law. But the consequences of these actions are far-reaching, affecting not just individuals but entire communities. For instance, the rise of darknet marketplaces has led to a surge in the sale of fake goods, from counterfeit luxury items to prescription medication. This, in turn, has had a significant impact on local economies, as businesses struggle to compete with the cheap, fake alternatives. But here's what most people don't realize. The dark web also has a profound effect on our social norms. When we talk about social norms, we're referring to the unwritten rules that govern our behavior in society. And the dark web has created a culture of moral ambiguity, where right and wrong are no longer clear-cut. Think about it. On the dark web, you can find services that offer to erase your online footprint or even create a new identity for you. This raises questions about identity, privacy, and what it means to be a responsible citizen in the digital age. Now, you might be thinking, but what about the dark web tycoon who lost 23 million in a single night? Is that just a cautionary tale about the risks of getting involved in illicit activities? Not quite. The story of this tycoon highlights the concept of moral ambiguity, where the lines between right and wrong are blurred. You see, this individual was a master of the dark web, able to navigate its complexities with ease. But as we've learned from their story, even the most skilled operators can fall victim to their own hubris and poor decision-making. So, what can we learn from the dark web and its impact on society? For starters, it's essential to recognize that the dark web is a reflection of our own society's flaws and weaknesses. By understanding the ways in which the dark web operates, we can gain insight into the darker aspects of human nature. And perhaps, just perhaps, we can find ways to address these issues and create a more just and equitable society. But here's the thing. The dark web is not going away anytime soon. In fact, its influence is only growing as more and more people become aware of its existence and potential. So what does this mean for us? It means that we need to be vigilant, to stay informed about the latest developments in the dark web, and to be prepared to adapt to the changing landscape. By doing so, we can ensure that the dark web remains a tool for good, rather than a force for evil. As we continue to explore the dark web, we'll be examining the ways in which it's being used for both good and ill. We'll delve into the world of cryptocurrency and the ways in which it's being used to facilitate illicit activities. We'll also explore the rise of the dark web as a platform for social justice and the ways in which it's being used to expose corruption and bring about change. But for now, let's take a step back and reflect on the impact of the dark web on society. It's a complex and multifaceted issue, one that requires careful consideration and nuanced understanding. By exploring the dark web and its effects on crime, the economy, and our social norms, we can gain a deeper understanding of the world we live in and the ways in which we can work towards creating a better future for all. You've probably heard the story of the dark web tycoon who made 23 million, only to lose it all in a single night. But as you continue to explore this clandestine network, you're probably wondering how the dark web impacts you personally. How can you avoid getting caught up in its dangers? And what can you do to protect yourself online? Today, we're going to explore the dark web and you, examining the risks and consequences of engaging with this mysterious world, and discussing the role of education and awareness in preventing dark web-related harm. Let's start with the obvious. The dark web is not a place for the faint of heart. It's a hub for cybercrime, identity theft, and all sorts of other illicit activities. But what's less obvious is the fact that you're not just a passive observer in this world. You see, every time you browse the dark web, you're taking a risk that can have serious consequences for your personal data, your financial security, and even your freedom. So what are some of these risks? Well, for starters, there's the risk of malware and viruses. You might think that you're safe from these threats, but the truth is that even the most secure systems can be breached. And once you've been compromised, it's often impossible to recover your data. Then there's the risk of identity theft. You might think that your online accounts are secure, but the fact is that many of them are vulnerable to hacking. And once your identity has been stolen, it can take years to recover. But here's the thing. The dark web is not just a place of danger. it's also a place of opportunity. And that's where education and awareness come in. See, the more you know about the dark web, the more you can protect yourself from its dangers. And that's why it's so essential to learn about digital literacy, the skills and knowledge you need to navigate the online world safely and securely. Digital literacy is more than just knowing how to use a computer. It's about understanding the risks and consequences of online activity. It's about knowing how to identify phishing scams, how to create strong passwords, and how to protect your personal data. And it's about being aware of the latest threats and vulnerabilities so that you can stay one step ahead of the cybercriminals. So, how can you develop your digital literacy? Well, for starters, you can start by learning about online safety and security. You can read up on the latest threats and vulnerabilities and learn how to protect yourself from them. You can also take online courses or attend workshops to learn about digital literacy and cybersecurity. And you can stay up to date with the latest news and developments in the world of online security. But here's the thing. Digital literacy is not just about protecting yourself from harm. It's also about being a responsible online citizen. When you're online, you're not just a passive observer. You're a participant in the global conversation. And that means that you have a responsibility to act with integrity and respect online. You see, when you engage in online activities that are malicious or hurtful, you're not just hurting others. You're also putting yourself at risk. So, what can you do to be a responsible online citizen? Well, for starters, you can start by being mindful of your online behavior. You can think before you post and consider the impact that your words and actions might have on others. You can also report online harassment or abuse and support organizations that work to promote online safety and security. And you can stay informed about the latest developments in the world of online security so that you can make informed decisions about your online activities. As we explore the dark web and you, one thing is clear. The risks and consequences of engaging with this mysterious world are real. But with education and awareness, you can protect yourself from harm and become a responsible online citizen. So what's the next step? It's time to take control of your online life, to learn about digital literacy, online safety, and cybersecurity. It's time to become a digital champion and to make the most of the online world. You've made it to the end of our journey into the mysterious world of the dark web. As we wrap up this story, let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture. The tale of the dark web millionaire who made $23 million, only to lose it all in a single night, serves as a stark reminder of the risks and rewards that come with navigating this clandestine network. You might be wondering what the key takeaways are from this story. For one, it highlights the incredible potential for wealth and innovation that exists on the dark web. But it also shows how quickly fortunes can change and how vulnerable even the most successful players in this world can be to collapse. So, what can you learn from this story? First, it's essential to understand the risks involved in any venture, especially one as high stakes as dark web marketplaces. Don't let the allure of quick profits blind you to the potential dangers lurking in the shadows. As we've explored the dark web and its impact on society, you've probably noticed a recurring theme. The dark web is a wild west of sorts, where the rule of law barely applies and the consequences of failure can be severe. But what does this mean for you personally? How can you avoid getting caught up in the chaos and stay safe online? The answer lies in education and awareness. By learning about the dark web, its history, and its players, you can better navigate this complex world and avoid making the same mistakes that have led so many others down a rabbit hole of trouble. Now, let's talk about the broader implications of the dark web for society and the economy. As we've seen, the dark web has both positive and negative effects on these areas. On the one hand, it's enabled the creation of new markets and opportunities for innovation, which can drive economic growth and improve people's lives. On the other hand, it's also fueled the rise of cybercrime and black markets, which can have devastating consequences for individuals and communities. So, what can you do to stay ahead of the curve? Here are a few actionable takeaways to get you started. Educate yourself about the dark web, its history, and its players. The more you know, the better equipped you'll be to navigate this complex world and avoid getting caught up in its dangers. Be cautious when exploring dark web marketplaces or interacting with unknown individuals online. Remember, the dark web is a wild west, and the consequences of failure can be severe. Stay informed about the latest developments in the world of cybersecurity and online safety. By staying ahead of the curve, you can better protect yourself and your loved ones from the threats that lurk in the shadows. As we conclude this journey into the world of the dark web, remember that there's always more to learn and explore. Whether you're a seasoned expert or a curious newcomer, there's always room for growth and discovery. So, take the next step and continue your education about this fascinating and complex topic. Who knows what you might learn? And if you've enjoyed this journey so far, be sure to hit that subscribe button and join our community of learners and explorers.